तमाम दोस्तों का, मेहमानों का शुक्रिया अदा करते हैं इंटरनेशनल पीस मिशन के बिहाफ पे कि आप अपना कीमती टाइम निकाल के यहाँ तशरीफ लाए। अल्लाह ताला आपका आना कबूल फरमाए। हमारे हर दोस्त जितने भी हिस्सा डालते हैं अल्लाह ताला उनको अजर अज़ीम अता फरमाए।
या अय्युहल्लज़ीना आमनू कुतिबा अलैकुमुस्सियामु कमा कुतिबा अलल्लज़ीना मिन क़ब्लिकुम लअल्लकुम तत्क़ून। पूरे मुजस्सम सरकार दो आलम सल्लल्लाहु तआला अलैहि वसल्लम के हुजूर, जिनकी गहराइयों से बड़ी ही आजी और मोहब्बत से हदिया सलात और सलाम के बाद काबिल एहतराम मुसलमान बुजुर्गों, दोस्तों, साथियों, भाई अजीजों, ये अल्लाह करीम का बड़ा करम है। ये माह मुबारक उसने हमें नसीब किया और इस माह करीम में आज हमने इस इफ्तारी का एहतमाम किया दारुस्सलाम पीस हाउस में। अल्हम्दुलिल्लाह ये उसकी रहमतें, उसकी बरकतें हैं जिससे हम मुस्तफीद हो रहे हैं। अल्लाह करीम आप सब का आना और हमारे जिन दोस्तों ने इस इफ्तारी का एहतमाम किया उनका एहतमाम करना अपनी बात हमें कबूल फरमाए। Today we have also invited some of our friends, our neighbors who don't belong to our faith, but in this country, as we are living in this community, we think that we should involve them with ourselves, and we should also involve ourselves with them, and we should try to understand each other so that we can stay here comfortably, and they should listen from us that what is our faith and what is our practice. Because nowadays on the media we know that so many things are being broadcast about Islam, and the people really don't know that what the truth is. So this is our duty to tell them that what our faith is and how we practice it. This is the month of Ramadan, and we are celebrating it as the month of Thanksgiving. And the people of America, they are very well familiar with Thanksgiving Day. And when we tell them that here only once a year you celebrate a day which is Thanksgiving Day, but in Muslim communities we celebrate the whole month as a Thanksgiving month, and we have these gatherings and we provide food and drinks and free to everybody whosoever comes here. And the Holy Prophet ﷺ has told us that anybody who helps other person, who feeds other person, and he helps him, he will be getting reward just like him. So today we organized this event, and we invited so many of our neighbors, and some of the Christian scholars, they were supposed to come here. Then they told Brother David Kausar that they are having a 3 days conference there and they are not coming here. So inshallah next time we hope that as they promised, and some of my neighbors, they were supposed to come here, and they just 1 half hour, they told me that they are regretted that they are not coming, and I hope my neighbors and our management, they will be coming here soon. So this is the idea, that in this month of Ramadan we should share with our neighbors that how we practice Islam, just how we practice this faith of peace, how we practice this faith of mercy, how we practice this faith of kindness, and how we practice this faith of humbleness. And this is the faith we believe, and this is the faith we practice. So Islam, the meaning of Islam is, we want to tell them that every faith has its name, and that relates to somebody. Hinduism is a religion based in India, and that relates themselves with a place, India, in this river, and that whole area that was called India, and those people who belong relate themselves to that area, and that is Hinduism. And rightly, the Christians, they relate themselves, the name of their religion, that goes to Jesus Christ, and that's called Christianity. And similarly, the Judaism, that relates themselves to Judah, and that is why it is called Judaism. But as we want to tell them that our name, the name of our religion, that is Islam. No doubt, the pioneer, our messenger, Holy Prophet Sayyidina Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he was the messenger of Islam. He is the messenger of God, and he taught us Islam. But he did not give the name Muhammadism.
We don't call it Mohammedanism. We call it Islam. And in Quran tells us, Inna Deena Indallah Islam. Inna Deena Indallah Islam. The name of our faith is Al-Islam. So the very name that is self-explanatory, that these are the people of faith which tells them to live with peace with everybody in this universe. So this is our practice, and as Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala told us, and He ordained and He commanded about this worship, this act of worship that we call fasting, siyam. And we read the verse from Quran, Surah Al-Baqarah. It says, Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu kutiba alaykum as-siyam kama kutiba alladhina min qablikum la'allakum tattaqun. Oh, you who believe. So Allah is telling us that you are not the first nation to whom fasting is prescribed. This act of worship was prescribed to all other faiths also. So we see, when we read the Bible, we can go to the Bible, and in Old Testament there are so many verses which tells about the fasting act. It was performed, it was practiced by Moses alayhi salam, Moses peace be upon him, and his followers, and Jonah, Yunus alayhi salam, and his followers. And similarly, we read in the New Testament with our friends of Christianity, they practice and they study the Bible, the New Testament. In that New Testament, we find it that even now there is about the fast. It is there, and I quote from the book of Mark and chapter 9 and verse 29. It says, "And Jesus said unto them." Unto disciples, this kind can come forth by nothing but prayer and fasting. He was telling them that how you can wipe off your sins, how can you get rid of the acts, impulse of the sins. And Jesus was telling them that, and Jesus said unto his disciples, this kind of come forth by nothing but prayer and fasting. And similarly, in book of Matthew and chapter 17 and verse 21, it was said, howbeit this kind goes not out but by prayer and fasting. And then in Old Testament it was said, then all children of Israel and all people went up and came unto the house of God and wept and sat there before Lord and fasted that day until even, and burnt offerings and peace offerings before the Lord. So we see the Quran mentioned that all believers, you are not the first nation to whom we have prescribed this worship, this act of worship, fasting. But before you, there were nations who were prescribed this act of worship. So all the religions, this idea of observing fast, this is not new for the Muslims. It is universal. I can say that this is a common practice in different religions. The religions are different, but the practice is common. So the common thing, so we want to tell the people of this community that come on the common things. These are the common things which are practiced in all religions and all faiths, but we, the Muslims, we celebrate it for the whole month. And for the whole month, and the beauty of this is that in some religions, they have different practice. In Hinduism, they don't practice fasting as we, but on different days. Some of the Hindus they practice fast on Tuesdays and some on Mondays, and some on the days of their God, which they think that they want to please them. And also in Hinduism also, the purpose of fasting is to enrich them spiritually. And the word upwas they use is, upwas means to bring themselves to near to God. The meaning of this verse is to bring yourself near to God. And similarly, all these religions which are practiced in this universe, they have some idea of fasting. And it is very interesting that Dr. Hamidullah, a great Islamic scholar, he was living in France, and he did a great job for propagation of Islam. And he, in his book Emergence of Islam, he gave a quotation from a French scholar, Dr. Geoffrey, and he wrote a book on fasting. And he quoted from his book that the fasting is not only common among different religions. Fasting is common through all universe. Even the animals, even the plant kingdom, they observe fasting. And he said when in snow areas, then when the animals go in hibernation, what they do?